What if one morning, the sun rose over Lagos, and everything had changed? Not slowly, not over decades, not after another political promise, but overnight. Nigeria had become the richest country on earth. The headlines exploded across every continent. Financial markets froze. Economists scrambled to explain what had just happened. News anchors repeated the same sentence over and over, as if saying it again would make it less unbelievable. Nigeria, richer than America, richer than China, richer than any nation in modern history. But this wasn't magic. It wasn't luck. It wasn't a lottery ticket hidden beneath the soil. It began years earlier, when a decision was made, a quiet but powerful shift in direction. Oil would no longer define Nigeria's destiny. Innovation would. In Lagos, young minds gathered in small offices and glass towers. They wrote code instead of drilling wells. They built platforms instead of pipelines. Nigerian startups began solving global problems in finance, in energy, in medicine, in artificial intelligence. And slowly, the world began depending on Nigerian intelligence, not just its resources. The deserts in the north transformed into oceans of solar panels. Wind turbines turned beneath wide golden skies. Power plants became cleaner. Electricity became constant. Cities that once flickered in darkness now glowed without interruption. Energy was no longer a struggle. It was abundant. Lagos evolved into something the world had never seen before. Skyscrapers stretched confidently into the clouds. Clean highways flowed like rivers of light. Advanced public transport moved millions with precision and ease. It was no longer simply Africa's largest city. It was the financial heartbeat of the world. The naira grew stronger. Investors rushed toward West Africa instead of away from it. Global stock markets moved when Nigeria moved. The currency that had once been doubted became a symbol of stability and strength. But something even more powerful happened. Nigerians began coming home. Doctors returned from London. Engineers left Silicon Valley. Entrepreneurs packed their bags and booked one-way flights back to Lagos and Abuja. Airports filled not with departures, but arrivals. The brain drain reversed. It became a brain gain. On the global stage, Nigeria no longer asked for permission to speak. It no longer waited for a seat at the table. It led. At international summits, its voice carried weight. Policies that shaped continents required its approval. World leaders listened carefully when Nigeria spoke. Abuja transformed into a center of diplomacy. Motorcades lined its streets. Global conferences filled its halls. The city pulsed with influence and strategic power. For the first time in modern history, Africa was not reacting to global decisions. It was shaping them. Across the land, infrastructure once imagined became reality. Bullet trains crossed the savannah, connecting cities in hours instead of days. Roads were smoother, bridges stronger, systems smarter. Daily life changed quietly, but profoundly. These homes stayed lit through the night. Businesses thrived without interruption. Children studied under steady lights instead of candle flames. Hospitals operated without fear of sudden darkness. Stability became normal. In neighborhoods once defined by hardship, something remarkable unfolded. Streets that once carried struggle began carrying opportunity. Clean water flowed, schools improved, healthcare expanded, poverty declined, hope rose. Inside classrooms, a new generation sat before holographic learning tools and advanced technology. Their eyes reflected curiosity, not limitation. They were not growing up with survival as their only ambition. They were growing up with possibility. They weren't just inheriting wealth, They were inheriting vision. And yet, standing above the glowing skyline of a futuristic Lagos at night, one question remained. Would wealth solve everything? Would power be handled wisely? Would unity grow stronger than division? Would leadership remain disciplined when the pressure of global influence intensified? Because becoming the richest country in the world is not the end of the story. It is the beginning of responsibility. True greatness is not measured only by money. It is measured by integrity, by justice, by how the weakest are treated, by whether prosperity is shared or concentrated. Nigeria's transformation would not just depend on oil, technology, or currency strength. It would depend on its people, on their choices, on their discipline, on their unity. The sun would still rise each morning over Lagos. Markets would still open. Children would still go to school. Leaders would still make decisions. Wealth could build skyscrapers. But character would build the future. And the question would no longer be, what if Nigeria became the richest country? The real question would be, what kind of nation would it choose to become?